This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Guys, welcome to the Game Marks podcast, where each and every week we take a deep dive into the good, the bad, and the awesome of all things video games. My name is George Feis.
And I'm the man they call Johnny Clash. And today we are playing Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 live on Twitch and YouTube for Gameboree, where we are raising money for St. Jude. And we're also going to discuss what game we think is the most Turkey-ish in the spirit of Thanksgiving. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Oh boy. And as always, please make sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating on both Apple Podcast and Spotify, or wherever you choose to listen to your podcast, and follow along on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod. And don't forget, you can get early and ad-free access to this episode, as well as show notes and a whole lot more exclusive content from this show, as well as State of Affairs and Going Postal, which is a show hosted by our good friend Dylan Postal. You may know him as WWE superstar Hornswoggle. But Johnny Clash, we are here. We are live currently on Twitch and on YouTube for Gameboree 2024. Guys, every week between now and the first week of January, every Wednesday, John and I will be live on YouTube and Twitch, raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. It is our 5th year doing it, and we've been saying it since the beginning. It's one of the best things that we do all year long. John, how are you feeling? Last week we played a very interesting card game in Brawlers.
You are glancing over the fact that we have already taken like 5 or 6 shots. I lost count because
I wasn't
the
gonna lead with
donations
that.
are completely... You're not going to lead with that. We opened the episode taking a shot. That's why we were coughing for those just listening.
That's true. And we also have to... You'll see the incentives in the video version. We also have to eat, what, 1, 2 of these?
One.
These are Bean Boozled.
One Bean Boozled.
And then we also have to give each other a compliment, which, you know what, John? I'm gonna start that right now, because of all of the graphic designers, and for someone who does the same thing as me, and we oddly enough know a lot of other graphic designers, but for someone who is in that same creative space, you have to be one of my favorite graphic designers to see the artwork of the shirts that you made, all of your branding for your Twitch channel. I love it. I encourage everyone to go and check it out. If you're here with the YouTube stream, make sure to go and check out twitch.tv/JohnnyClashTTV and show him some love. Drop a sub or a follow if you can, but also check out those amazing graphics that he made.
That was the nicest thing you've ever said. George, let me tell you something. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. George.
It's a compliment promo? That's
George,
a new thing.
This was the first ever live stream that we have ever done, me and you, maybe even including you, where absolutely nothing went wrong. You have been flawless. You have been on point. YouTube.
No, your start button stopped working.
That's okay. That's on me. I have a shitty controller from Amazon. Everything is just perfect. We are rolling here. We had a good episode, and we only have those nice graphics because you made the GMP logo. You made this. We are all here because of this. Because of you. And that's the end of my compliment. All right, let's take a bean.
All right. So how we do this is we pick the color of the bean. John, show your container so people can see the 2 different styles here. So John's got this little jug. I've got a box.
So I have the 7th edition. Which edition do you have?
I have the 6th. So I think we have 2 different flavors, but they look like normal jelly beans. But judging on what color you get,
it always pops 2 out. I don't want to.
Okay, so the one that I have, oh man, I feel like I got this last time and it was not great.
Oh.
So this is either toasted marshmallow,
which isn't great,
or stink bug.
Mine's either juicy pear or booger, which I saw Secret Levels last night get booger a bunch of times.
I don't have that one.
Okay.
All right.
I guess
Cheers.
cheers again.
Yep. Nope.
I got a nice juicy pear.
No, I hate it. Oh,
Wash it down with a shot.
it's a jelly bean that gets stuck in your teeth too. That's the worst part. No, that's so bad.
He doesn't like it. Wait, what? Which one?
It was stink bug. It was either toasted marshmallow or stink bug. I want to say that I got that last week when we were doing the live stream, but it was I pulled the same one, but it was actually toasted marshmallow.
I don't like the toasted marshmallow one either.
I mean, it's better than whatever that was.
Yeah.
No, the worst one was the one that tasted just like straight sulfur.
Oh,
I don't remember what that one was. It was rotten egg. Just tasted like straight sulfur. Like that sulfur smell. It was awful. Awful. But
anyway,
guys,
brawlers.
We've got an episode to do. Despite the fact that we've taken several shots, have now complimented each other and did a whole gameplay, which is available on our YouTube. You can check it out.
Honestly, the complimenting part was the worst. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Anyway, as you were saying, we played Brawlers last week, a game on the Epic Store and what else? Amazon Gaming or Prime Gaming. And it was an interesting one. I gave it a play it forever. I think you future
endeavored it. I gave it a play it forever, but I said that it was on the line of I am curious to see if they continue to add stuff, and that I think that the concept of how they played or how they put together the card aspect of it was different than other card-based wrestling games that we had played in the past, because I feel like that's not a genre that is super prevalent when it comes to wrestling. You don't usually think of like a card game, but there are several out there, and some are great, some are not as great. Some have really great core mechanics, but the visuals aren't super nice to look at, and then some are the opposite. And then you get ones like last week where you kind of get the best of both. The presentation was really nice. The actual match mechanics themselves are very interesting. It was a different take.
Yeah, it looked nice. I was just wanting that like a little bit more, I guess. That just wasn't there yet. And I don't know, the whole crypto blockchain, it's just not for me. Like if you're gonna give me a game where I could buy stuff in the store, just I don't know, I'll just buy it if I want it. Why does it have to be an NFT or whatever?
Treat it like V-Bucks or whatever the COD points are. Is it COD points or is it something else?
I haven't played
whatever the currency in a long time. Call of Duty. Me either, but I just know those are the only two games that I always think of that have like it's like that. It's Fortnite, Call of Duty, Rocket League, but so many other games have like item shops now that you could buy skins and stuff for.
Yeah, just not for me.
Yeah, but man, this is it's always so challenging to do the live episodes because I feel like normally we don't like banter as much. We just like follow the structure of the episode.
Oh,
but
we are
like,
live.
There's a live chat happening. There's people here.
There's
it's like all right,
coming in. There's shots flowing. Things happening. We're already at 19 donations. Damn.
That's crazy stuff.
Well, what we're talking about is Gameboree, where each and every year, this is our 5th year, we do this year 2-month-long charity event supporting St. Jude. So from now until January 5th, we're going to be here weekly on my Twitch at Johnny Clash TTV and on YouTube at Game Marks Pod. And we're going to be streaming. We're going to be playing games every other week. We're going to be doing the episode live. And in between, we're going to be playing games on those off weeks. And it's all going to culminate in the big finale at Game Marks Mania, our little marathon stream where we're going to just keep playing and keep donating. And that's our WrestleMania, which is why we named it that. And if you want to enter, just hit that exclamation point donate. We'll take you to the donation page. Or if you're listening later on, GameMarksPod.com/donate has the GoFundMe link and all of the details. Today's prizes, we already gave out a t-shirt. We're going to do Retromania right before we get into the deep dive here, give out a Retromania Steam code, and later on we are giving out this here Elite WWE CM Punk Nexus figure, Series 113, brand new, back ordered. Nobody has it, not ringside, not Wrestling Collector Shop. We have it, and it's going to be yours. And I see Toby Von Doom right now in the chat. That's Mr. Secret Levels, who did his own stream last night also for St. Jude, which was amazing. We have a ton of donations come in from that. We love you guys, Secret Levels. You guys have supported us for many, many years. You've been involved with Gameboree for many years, I think, except last year because you forgot to answer our DM, but you were there in spirit. And we thank you guys so much. So catch Toby Von Doom also on Twitch. He's going to be doing some Gameboree streams here and there, as well as just some regular streams. He's a good streamer, so check it out. Check out Secret Levels podcast. Also, our other sponsor, Collect Major. That's Major Bendy's, Big Rubber Guys. They have some giveaways coming up in probably next week. We could give away some of that stuff. So stay tuned
next week.
Join us in the lives Wednesday night, 8 p.m. And that's where we're going to give stuff away. So yeah,
absolutely. But hey, Mr. Clash, are you ready to plug in and put on those nostalgia goggles and do this week's deep dive?
I'm ready.
Looking to add the newest wrestling figures to your lineup? There's no better spot to pick up your next figure than the Wrestling Collector Shop.
Started by collectors for collectors around the globe, Wrestling Collector Shop has been serving the fans the latest and greatest in wrestling action figures since 2002. So the next time you're looking for the newest wrestling collectible to add to your collection, make sure to go to WrestlingCollectorShop.com and use code GameMarks to save yourself 10% on your order.
That's 10% off your order with code GameMarks at WrestlingCollectorShop.com.
All right, guys, the deep dive, as always, brought to you by our friends over at Wrestling Collector Shop. Make sure to use code GameMarks to save yourself 10% over at WrestlingCollectorShop.com. Here we go, John. Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 released January 28th in the year 2000 for the N64, a console that we have covered extensively in the world of wrestling titles, and who knows where we're going to branch off to next. This game is developed by Asmic Ace Entertainment and published by Asmic Ace Entertainment and AKI. Now, this is the sequel to the first Virtual Pro Wrestling on the N64 and the American equivalent of WrestleMania 2000. There is a lot of similarities in the music, the presentation, the character models. We'll get into that a little bit later. So Virtual Pro Wrestling is comparable to WCW versus the World for PlayStation 1. And then there's Virtual Pro Wrestling 64, which is comparable to WCW versus the World, or WCW versus NWO World Tour for the N64. And like I said, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 is the sequel to that. Now, this game, as we said, comes out January 28th, 2000. WrestleMania 2000 comes out October 12th, 1999, and releases in Japan on September 15th, 2000. You all right? You doing another shot there? You're good?
Spilled half of it in my beard.
Live recordings of these episodes, guys. Oh, man. But John, let's talk about this gameplay. We kind of alluded to it before we actually got into the official deep dive here. But this is a game that we played during Game Wars, a series that we did last year. Haven't done like the official deep dive yet. That's why we're doing it now. But we covered some of it then, and it was a game that we both really enjoyed. We both really enjoyed WrestleMania 2000. Do you happen to have the Player Forever Future Endeavor chart up?
I could get it up quickly. That sounded so wrong, but I'm
because
many shots in, I probably can't. So
because for some reason I feel like you didn't play it forever on WrestleMania 2000, but that might be
the question. What year did we play that?
So I do believe that is the episode that we did with Mr. Dylan Postle.
No, we both played it forever. That was the end of year 2.
Okay, and was that with Dylan or no, or was Revenge with Dylan?
Revenge was with Dylan.
Revenge was with Dylan.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, this game is the controller layout wise, visual wise, very similar to those AKI games that we, if you know and you love. We've said on this podcast that we are big fans. We had a whole YouTube series that we did in No Mercy, but the AKI THQ series of games, Asmic, also. It is widely regarded by a lot of wrestling video game fans as the best series of games, and this falls into that as well. Presentation for some aspects is a little different. The backstage entrance leading, everyone kind of gets that hallway.
I love the clock on the
Which is
wall.
cool.
Attention to detail. We got a little clock. Like they just said, we have the ability to make anything we want in this game. It is a video game. We could start from scratch. Let's just make a room, a generic room with a clock on the wall. Now, I
gotta have something to set the environment.
I'm not a big Japanese wrestling fan. We've talked about this many times on the podcast. I know some of the modern stuff, but maybe that's a exact room that actually was there. But for me, I have no idea.
There's so many little homages to things, whether it be arena wise or obviously the roster is 1-to-1 for wrestlers. There's no one, I don't believe, that is not named their actual name, but we are very used to that in other games. But I don't necessarily know if they do it here. They may be going by whatever names they used overseas, but we'll get into that later. There's a big roster that we have to cover. But there are no WWF or WCW wrestlers in this game. There are people who have, at the time, bounced around from promotion to promotion. But at the time of this release, there does not seem to be anyone that was in the game that was under contract. There's also no cage matches or first blood matches, which were available in WrestleMania 2000. Test of Strength is in.
It's in.
Is in. Okay, so that goes away in WrestleMania 2000, but it is in Revenge.
Right, and it has the strike combinations from Revenge, which
Yes,
I was never able to grasp when I played Revenge, but for some reason in this one, I was able to do it a little bit better. I guess it depends on who you pick.
I always enjoyed them. You had in like Revenge, like Hanzo Man and all the wrestlers who were like, I think Glacier had, Canyon had them.
Yeah.
Goldberg had a combo as well. I guess maybe
Goldberg's
it wasn't something
real.
that was.
Goldberg's really beat you up.
Maybe it wasn't something that translated super well to American audiences, but I would have to imagine there was a reason that system didn't continue through WrestleMania 2000 and into No Mercy.
George, I love the way that you're reading this. It's just very nice.
You gotta announce when we're doing stuff like that. I'm assuming we got a compliment.
We got a compliment. That was very nice. The way you read that, the way your demeanor is during this episode, all those shots you took, how just the show is just flowing. You're holding it real well.
Laser focused right now because we have to be. But you know what, John? I will say the same for you. You are also, with the exception of the little dribble that happened earlier, but we'll just say that because you were holding a shot glass that had a cape, it's unwieldy. It's hard to grab.
It's got a little cape.
Yeah, it's unwieldy. It's hard to grab. But you're also handling this very, very well. And I got to tell you, for the last 5 years, you've been the person who puts together these show notes. And episode after episode, they are always so easy to go through. So easy to review prior to the show and then use as a guide as we're actually recording. It is you have really honed your craft when it comes to guiding the show.
I thank my research class I took in my last year of college.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you for the donation, Anonymous.
Thank you very much for that donation.
Let's talk about, we already kind of talked about the intros and the entrances and all that, but there's a lot of Japanese games have this where it's not so much an entrance, but you walk to the ring and then you're actually getting announced by the ring announcer,
Yes.
which was cool. And also something you didn't see very often on the N64 because you mostly just read on the N64 and you would like press A to skip. You didn't actually have fully drawn out voices.
I guess not. I
Like,
think
you
the
had
closest we get to the
there were announcers in like Warzone and Attitude, but even that was limited.
no, but I'm saying like, the closest you get to the Japanese style in-ring poses is in World Tour. You have it where you walk out of your corner, you strike your pose, and then in No Mercy or in Revenge and WrestleMania 2000, you have your center of the ring pose.
Yeah.
But there's no, like you said, there's no actual like commentary that serves as an announcement.
Let's give it up for No Mercy just having half entrances. That was the best.
Johnny Clash on record.
8 entrances.
Not a big entrance guy.
So because it is a cartridge, you have limited entrance music. There are some really cool venues like Nippon Budokan, Kawasaki Stadium, Karakuen Hall, and the Tokyo Dome. So which one did we play in? Was it the stadium?
So we did Kawasaki Stadium.
Because the moon was out there and all that. It was pretty nice.
And I think we may have done Karakuen Hall. I can't remember.
so,
There was one
yeah.
that we did that was the loading was just the building. And it has the AKI logo on it, which is not the Tokyo Dome, and I don't think it's Nippon Budokan.
And now we know from the previous AKI games, you have a referee. Now this one has 3 different referees with different reactions and count speeds, which is not something you normally see in a wrestling game. So that's kind of cool. Figuring out which ref you have, like, okay, I got a little more time to kick out of this pin or whatever.
It was just nice to have different like sprites for the ref. We got so used to, this is the ref for No Mercy. This is the ref for
No Mercy didn't even have a ref, yeah.
No, I was just saying there is no ref.
If you want a ref in No
just
Mercy,
turn
you
on
have to use special ref and pick Earl Hebner.
But you could turn on the visual counts in No Mercy. But you could turn on and off the graphic for the ref in Revenge and World Tour. I don't believe that WrestleMania 2000 has visual ref. I can't remember. I
think it might.
feel like we played that one so long ago.
We played it not too long ago though on Clash at the Feast.
No, I know. I just for some reason I feel like it was just
it has
so long ago. Okay, so then
little Earl Hebner in the corner.
They're just all starting to blend together at this point because they're all like it's just what game doesn't have what features and so on.
Yeah. We also have belt creation mode, includes the Triple Crown, which unifies 3 championship. The Smoking Skull was originally available, but removed from the final game, but could be accessed through cheats. And you have your game modes where 12-month Royal Road Succession mode is similar to the Road to WrestleMania mode in WrestleMania 2000. So this game is not an exact carbon copy of WrestleMania 2000, but it's pretty close. They are very similar.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the same that we got from Virtual Pro Wrestling 1 and WCW versus NWO World Tour. There's a lot of similarities, a lot of similar presentations, but there are some game mechanics that are different because certain wrestlers needed to have certain game mechanics, and the way that the roster's translated over and things like that, some features got removed, some features got added, and depending on the region that the game was released. So this was a nice change to go back and play this with a full breakdown for the podcast and the knowing the differences between each game and having recently played Virtual Pro Wrestling 1, having played this not too long ago in Game Wars. It was fun. It's I don't know, that's always the thing. What was the PlayStation game that we played? Not so. Is it Simple 1500 series? Was that the one that's like
those are awful.
But it was interesting to go and play that game to see like what changes they made. We're like, okay, this game's equivalent of Stone Cold, but the moveset was like Stone Cold's moveset also mashed with like HBK's moveset. It was just like, this is a weird combination. How'd they get there? Why did they make this decision? Like, this character's moveset's really cool. And I feel like that's kind of that same thing that we get here, where it's like, we know WrestleMania 2000. We know Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 a little bit better. What are the differences? What are the, like, because I can't think of a single wrestler in WrestleMania 2000 that just, like, doesn't go to the top rope, only does strikes and, like, MMA style moves. Like, I don't even know if that moveset is in that game.
I could not tell you. We would have to go through each one, and I'm not about to do that. But what we are about to go through, let's go through the game modes you have here.
Let's do it.
I pulled out my translator in the middle of the playthrough, as we
he did
normally would. But I did it live this time. Everybody saw that peek behind the curtain. You got your exhibition mode, where it's just single, tag, 3-on-3, 4-player battle royal, or a 5-on-5 elimination between single or tag, which we tried, and not only did the game crash, but it was long. It took a long time to get through even the first match, and then you realize you possibly have a ton more. We mentioned before Royal Road Succession, where you use tag teams, you beat all the champions in the league within the scheduled year. Then you have a league where they're done as singles or tag, and the player who gets the highest amount of points is first, and you win. A tournament with 16 different wrestlers, single or tag. And then you have the rally, where the player can get a place in the auditorium to watch a wrestling match, or even invoke a wrestling card to partake in a tournament. So it's like watch mode, but kind of GM mode-ish, loosely, not really, but kind of. And then, of course, you could see, you could do the rankings mode, which the player fights as a single or tag against 16 of the best wrestlers to gain the highest possible rank. It just kind of, I guess, what can you say it's like Raw for Xbox, where you don't have a championship mode. You just keep ranking up.
Yes. It's the ranking or rank mode is the best way to describe it. Now,
oh boy, this roster.
So here's the thing. The game has close to 100 wrestlers. Are we about to read 100 wrestlers?
It seems like you don't want to, so yes, we will.
I just wanted to ask, because I know in the past you have not you've not been the biggest fan of reading longer rosters.
We can make this happen right now, very easily. Toby says read 100 names. All right, give me a second.
Are you gonna do the Google?
Sure am.
Voice? Been a while since we had to break out the Google voice, speed text to voice.
Let's see if it works.
All Japan Pro Wrestling giant Baba Mitsuharu Misawa Yoshinari Yagawa Masahito Kakahara Kento Kobashi Jun Akiyama Kentaro Shiga Toshiaki Kawada Akira Tao Takao Omori Yoshihiro Takayama Hiroshi Hayes Jun Izumida Manakia Mossman Big Van Vader Stan Hansen Johnny Ace Mike Barton aka Bart Gunn Gary Albright Johnny Smith Giant Kimura New Japan Pro Wrestling Shinya Hashimoto Tatsumi Fujinami Kensuke Sasaki Shiro Koshinaka Manabu Nakanishi Yuji Nagata Kazuo Yamazaki Tadao Yasuda Masahiro Chono Keiji Muto Hiroyoshi Tenzan Satoshi Kojima Hiro Saito Scott Norton Jushin Thunder Liger Electric Samurai Kendo Kashin Drive Wagner Jr. Shinjiro Otani Tatsuhito Takaiwa Koji Kumoto Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling Hayabusa Masato Tanaka Kodo Fuyuki Mr. Ganosuke Geto the Gladiator, Mike Awesome, Genichiro Tenryu Michinoku Pro Wrestling, Osaka Pro Wrestling. In Toriyamon the Great Sasuke Jinsei Shinzaki Taka Michinoku Spruce Naniwa Super Dolphin Magnum Tokyo Shima Nobunaga, aka Chima, Dragon Kid Fighting Network rings Kiyoshi Tamura Tsuyoshi Kosaka. Terio Bitsadze Volkan Pancrase Masakatsu Funaki Yoshiki Takahashi Minoru Suzuki Kingo Watanabe Sammy Shilk Pride
I know you can't hear it because I have my desktop audio coming through.
Ensign Inoue Rumina Sato Battle Arts Yuki Ishikawa Alexander Atsuka Daisuke Ikeda Minoru Tanaka Wrestling Legends Jumbo Saruta Mil Mascaras Terry Funk Dory Funk Jr. Terry Gordy Drive Death Steve Williams Bruiser Brody Abdullah The Butcher Andre The Giant Akira Maeda Alexander Carolyn Rickson Gracie Mark Kerbaugh Rudden Great Muta Ultimo Dragon Antonio Inoki Naoya Agawa Ricky Choshu Don Fry Tiger Mask Satoru Sayama, Yoshiaki Fujiwara at Sushi Anita.
Okay. Oh my goodness. That was a long time. I'm glad we didn't have to read those.
I can't wait to listen back to hear this.
At least we didn't have to do it. Oh my god. All right, let's take a quick commercial break here, read the ads, and we'll be back in 2 seconds.
All right, John, let's talk about this artwork here. It is very, I don't know, it's what you would expect from a Japanese style wrestling game. You've got artistic renderings of the wrestlers featured in the game. You've got the logo, which is the tested and proven Virtual Pro Wrestling text style, where it's the big blocky Japanese text. We always say on this podcast, John and I have mentioned it over the years, that it's nice when you look at the cover of a game and you get a real good idea as to what the kind of game that you're going to be playing is. And I think that they kind of hit the nail on the head here, much like they did with Virtual Pro Wrestling 1. You know what it is? It's wrestlers. You see people wrestling. You flip it over. You got a bunch of screenshots of wrestlers. Like it, you can't question what the game's about.
Yeah, I'm not gonna translate the back because it's just way too much text. It also has one of those bottom of. I'm feeling those shots, George. It has the bottom of the design where it's just a lot of info.
Yeah,
which you would see now. There is. Have you seen the other version?
Oh yeah, this does have two covers, doesn't it?
No. It does has a Japanese and an American cover. They're kind of similar, but there's Virtual Pro Wrestling Frame Edition. It's a modded version. It's the most popular one, but you could actually buy like the cartridge of it on eBay or AliExpress, or it's out there. Like it's a known, like very known.
Oh, it's
edition.
The ROM, the English translated ROM hack, like cartridge hack.
Yeah, but there's like Kane and Spider-Man, Sting, AJ Styles.
Yeah. Who we had on the podcast that talked about that was one Max Smashmaster.
That's right. We should add him, do a little call and do a little run in here, but
he's busy running his. He got his own promotion.
Check out Rad Pro Wrestling. Let's break down these graphics here, because something has always bothered me about the N64. Now, PlayStation kind of had this too. PlayStation was known for like that real grainy pixelation, but it wasn't exactly like pixels. It just looked like mush. I don't know if I'm describing that right. Like, I think of the old games, and it was just so pixely that it just looked like mush. Whereas N64, you see the actual like squares and pixels, and I just feel like some of this stuff should not have ever passed as a game, but we didn't look at it that way as a kid because it was all we knew, and it was still more advanced than what we got previously.
I think in the terms of nostalgia, N64 and PlayStation 1 are the consoles that, while the nostalgia factor may be heavy in terms of like the gameplay mechanics and how you remember the levels and stuff like that, I think the thing that I have heard, and the way that you're describing it now, is the graphics are usually the thing that the people are just like, wow, I remember like this being the pinnacle of graphics at the time. Like there was a post that I saw on I think someone posted a video on YouTube. They the first level of GoldenEye for the N64. Silo, I think it is. They did a full remake in like Unreal of just like the opening cinematic to that. And it was just like how we pictured this level as kids and how it actually looked. And it's like they rendered it in Unreal, and then it's what it actually looked like on the N64. And it's like, yeah, at the time, this was like the perfect combination of how you could have great wrestling mechanics with decent textures and okay like character models, and it's just like everything kind of worked. And now you look back and you're like, these like it still works. It's just not exactly as pristine and crisp as I remember it.
Yeah, but it kind of always bothered me, but I think more looking back. But we already knew the wrestling games, especially the AKI games on the N64, the body parts like weren't attached, and
I was going to say the arms in No Mercy.
We had no business letting them get away with this, but we did, and it worked because the games were so good. You don't see that very often now, where the game is so good that you overlook the graphics. But yeah, it is what it is. That just won't happen nowadays. But everything in here looks great. Like we mentioned, the arenas all look great. They're all unique. I like the little, I guess, uniqueness of literally everything. The referee, we said, the ring skirts, like it's all different. It's all finely put in there. And we all know, like the HUD and everything, we all know by now what it looks like because they've used it every single game, at least a variation of it.
Crowd still leaves a little to be desired. It's still that
I like the crowd.
Paper. It's that same.
They're papery, but they're well detailed, and they actually have like that depth and dimension behind them where it fades to black as it goes behind them. There's actually aisles, and there's actually like breaks in the crowd where like the entrances are. I definitely don't hate this. Of course, it's papery, but they do
it's not the worst. And you bring up good points of what they did to kind of make it as I will say the pro about the crowd that I feel like the other games, the American releases of the games didn't have is, or maybe it's not just as pronounced, because now that I'm thinking about it, I do remember it in No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000, is I feel like they really nailed the shadow of the crowd where like not everyone's in the exact same light and it feels like there's depth. And I know that they have that in No Mercy and in WrestleMania 2000, but there's just something about the like how far back the crowd goes, how soon it starts to fade. It gives it depth and makes it kind of feel more realistic. And for those of you who are just joining us for the first time, maybe you don't know, John and I like to talk about the crowds for some reason. It was something that we did on the first episode, and it just kind of stuck with us all throughout the way. It's one of those things like the ring aprons or the colors of the ropes or how the turnbuckle pads connect to the post and things like that. It's those things that kind of help build the environment of the landscape of a match, and it all helps like with the presentation and the world building of the arenas.
Yeah, and it's usually a nice, well displayed crowd like this one. Just kidding, a lot of them suck. Did you know? Did you know Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 expanded the Create a Wrestler mode that debuted in WrestleMania 2000 and boasts a detailed mask editing feature?
Did you know Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 is the only game in the THQ AKI series to include a logic factor?
Did you know this game is on eBay for $59 to $85, cartridge only, $145 complete?
Honestly,
so no, I will not be buying this game anytime soon.
I'm surprised that it's not more. I thought this was going to be much, much higher.
All right. I couldn't find any graded copies. I'm sure they're out there. There were just none on eBay at the moment. But let's sit back. Let's relax. It's time for some R&R, some ratings and reviews. I have the game FAQ score up here. The average user rating here, 4 out of 5 stars. Considered great. Difficulty 3 out of 5, and length hours played is the full 5 of 5, averaging around 54 hours. I believe it. Now, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, also known as Odo Kisho, gained positive reviews from the critics. On release, Famitsu gave it a 30 out of 40. Fuck you, Famitsu. Give it at least a 37. IGN's Aaron Balding criticized the bland pre-match animation, but he praised the addition of various moves. Regarding American gamers, Bolden considered it a nice addition to the library of the most extreme hardcore wrestling fans, and VPW2 would become the second most popular import title on the N64 after Sin and Punishment. It's always the wrestling games making those charts. You know, the wrestling fans always come out and buy the damn games they like. I appreciate it.
Very popular time for wrestling, man.
Yeah. But
hey,
that's the critics, George. It's time for our rating, and it's time for a shot. It is time to rate the game.
The game!
Johnny Clash. When it comes to Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, will you play it forever or future endeavor?
This game gets a big old play it forever from me. I was not a big WrestleMania 2000 fan as a kid just because I simply didn't have the N64 at the time. I wanted it very badly, just as I did Revenge, but I didn't get the console till No Mercy was out, and I loved it. So I never really went back and played these till later in life. Even today, knowing I've played this game before, I'm still so shocked by the animations, by the movesets, by everything that happens in this game because of how unique it is, how different it is, just how there's different, what's it called? Each wrestler is literally different in this game. They did that on purpose. Their movements, they are just like their real life logic. That's what it's called. Their logic in the game for every wrestler is different. We saw it with the referees. We see it with everything. The environments, the customization of this, the create a wrestler, the belts, everything you want is in this game. Now, there's always the argument, people say Revenge is better than No Mercy, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, how could that be when No Mercy had so much more? I think if you put this up against No Mercy, I would have a lot of questions because this has even more. Of course, No Mercy had the storyline, the big storylines, and you had to 100% them all. So it was kind of endless fun. But this game, just doing matches is just endless fun. So yeah, big ol' play it forever here. And George Feis, what about you?
You don't even have to throw it to me because you just hit all the nails on the head, man. Like that's it. It's all of the things that make this so different from the American releases are what make this game stand out. It's the presentation, the moveset, it's lacking some match styles, but like there's so many other things that I would say I'm not missing the cage match. I'm not missing the first blood match.
We hate them
there are so many other things in this game that make the playthrough of every match so worthwhile. Like you said, it's the logic, the unique move sets, the graphical presentations before the matches. It helps encapsulate what makes a wrestling game fun. It does a lot of heavy lifting in the sense of, yeah, sure, maybe you don't know every single person on the roster, but
you don't need to. Look at the guy I got last in the playthrough. He was awesome.
I was going to say that's part of the fun is kind of going in there and discovering wrestlers that you may not have heard of or played before in other games, and then to get the opportunity to kind of see what their moveset is. And then I think we talked about this. We both have people who got into wrestling through video games, and now they are just wrestling fans. I think you said that you had a couple of friends back in the day that that you had played wrestling video games with them in the past, and then they just became regular full-blown wrestling fans, and I have the same thing. So to have that kind of experience and to kind of have a new-ish game in the sense of like maybe it's not something that a lot of American players have had the opportunity to play, to kind of go and play and experience something else. It is a big old play it forever for me as well. And
hell yeah,
highly recommend that you go and check this game out because it's a lot of fun.
All right. With that, George, are you ready to head on over to our favorite segment, the soft lock question?
Yes, sir. Let's go. All right, so the soft lock segment of this podcast, where one of our mega marks from our Patreon gives us a topic to debate, a question to answer. It is a question of the week with a fancy name, and this week it comes from our good friend, Mr. Sean Tecker. And Tecker's question is, in honor of it being Thanksgiving, what moment in your gaming life have you felt like the biggest turkey, meaning foolish or inept?
Oh, man.
Every time John and I drop into Fortnite.
I finally have somewhat of a grasp on that. But yeah, you're probably right. You know what I'm going to say is the Force Unleashed, because I had the Wii version.
Oh.
I didn't want the Wii version, but that's what I ended up getting for Christmas. And there was one specific level where I think there were pieces of a TIE fighter on the ground, and you had to like lift them up and with the Force and like level them and then jump on them. Doing that with the damn Wii whatever the hell they're called, the nunchuck things.
Yeah, nunchucks.
Impossible. That is where I stopped playing the game and never picked it up again.
Are you talking about the
360
one
later or whatever it was?
Where you have to pull the platforms out, or the part where you have to bring down the Star Destroyer?
The platforms. It was very early in the game.
Yeah, there's the ones where you have to like bring the platforms out from the wall. Yeah. I have heard mixed reactions about that on the Wii from people who had played it.
It's cool,
you did
the
not
first
have
5
a great
minutes.
experience, and I know people who were just like, it was actually kind of fun because it felt like you were like the motions that you did were, you know, it was like you felt like you were actually doing stuff with the Force, and I was like, I suppose that there's a certain...
Hell no. I was so much happier when I got it on Xbox later on.
Look how far VR is coming now. People love it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. What about you?
I'm trying to think of one. I feel like there's so many of them, but I can't think of one specific that jumps out at me. So there was a point where I wanted to play it was like a Road Rash style game. And it ended up being that the Road Rash aspect of it ended up being more like a mechanic sim. I have to find the name of the game, where you build your car and then you do like a whole Road Rash type of gameplay. But the building your car, like I hyped this game up to all my friends. I was like, this is gonna be the future. This is gonna be so cool. I was like, so many other games are gonna be there. And this was like, you know, early to like mid 2000. Like, this is going to be it. This is going to be so cool. Everyone's going to get this game. We got to get on this like now before, so we can be like the cool kids who were playing it before. And it didn't. No one got it. It ended up being like this huge flop because no one wanted to spend all the time building the cars. And I got to find out what the name of the game was. I can't remember, but I remember just being so pumped about this game. And then everyone being like, dude, we don't like this game. This game's not great. And I was like, yeah, I just made all my friends go out and like spend their birthday money on buying this game.
I did that with Gears of War Judgment Day, or Judgment, whatever it was called. Notably my least favorite Gears of War game. But I finally convinced my friend to play it. All of my other friends were getting it. We just played 2 and 3, and it was so much fun. The multiplayer. We all got Judgment, and we were like, oh, this game kind of sucks. And we convinced friends that didn't play the series to finally get it, and that's where they came in, and it was a big flop. Man. But this question had a follow-up from the rest of the Discord, where they asked hang on, what is the exact...
Well, you are notorious for not liking Thanksgiving food.
I'm not notorious.
Is that what the follow-up is?
I mean, yeah, it's not my favorite. I'd rather Christmas food, because I'm Italian and we go all out.
In our small little group, you are on the record saying that you are not a big fan of Thanksgiving food.
The follow-up was, in honor of Thanksgiving. This is from Soups. Why are you a monster and hate Thanksgiving? And Spork says, in honor of Soups, why are you a monster and hate Thanksgiving?
And I actually think that you might be in good company with Dylan Postle. I don't think Dylan's
and
a big
Mr. Puffed. Honestly, turkey sucks. We all know turkey sucks. I like the dark meat because it's better and worse for you and fatty and juicy. I hate turkey. Turkey sucks. I'm going to eat stuffing. I'm going to eat potatoes. I'm going to eat, I don't know,
I like
green bean casserole and all that stuff. And
I
then,
like everything on Thanksgiving.
Ready for
All of
this? Ready for this exchange? My mom makes the best green bean casserole, but the fried onion she puts on top, she gives me the rest of the box, and then I just palm them the rest of the night.
Eating like potato chips?
Oh,
You're just
yeah.
eating.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I bet that's good.
they're
Like,
delicious.
I'm sure that's great. I just don't know anyone that's eaten.
What's
Would
the
you do
brand?
that? Would you do that with like a bag of croutons? Would you just like find a
Oh,
bag
absolutely,
of croutons?
100%.
Yeah, like
French's original crispy fried onions. That's it.
oh yeah, they also come in like the tub, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have them come in like the big
Oh yeah.
plastic
Oh my
tub.
god. All night I'll eat those things. Smells so bad.
Soups in the chat. Sounds like you just like the crunchy onions.
I agree. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Green bean casserole is a vessel for Johnny Clash to get crispy onions.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey,
soft lock.
guys, let us know whether you're in the chat right now or if you are listening to this episode after the fact on social media. You can let us know at Game Marks Pod. What is your biggest foolish moment in gaming? Whether it is a game that you thought was going to be great that flopped, or just a moment in a game that you couldn't get past that ended up being not as challenging as you had once thought. But John, would you like to know? And for everyone listening, would you guys like to know what we are playing next episode?
I would, but I'm checking this quick because I feel like this is one we may have already played.
I don't think so.
Well, does it have another name? This isn't the one we keep going back to and we realize it's something else, is it?
No, it's not Natsume Championship Wrestling.
You sure?
No, because that one is the Natsume Championship Wrestling is Zen Nippon Pro Wrestling Dash.
Okay.
And this is a different one. But next episode, we are playing Zen Nippon Pro Wrestling 2 3-4 Budokan. This is for the Super Famicom. And we are sticking with wrestling. I think we're going to try to do it all through Gameboree. We're going to see how many games we're able to get through. Originally, I was going to suggest a Fire Pro game, but I think we might save that because those are not too many of those left, surprisingly.
Oh my god, we played so many. But
And
also,
I think some of them are single player. Like there's a Game Boy version that we have to play, and I think
Those
that
are
there
usually
is
good.
Super Fire Pro Wrestling 3.
But also
just-
next week, like this is the next episode. Next week when we're back live on Twitch and YouTube,
It's just hanging out playing games.
I think we're gonna do a little Fortnite challenge wheel.
Yes,
Where
we
the
are.
donations are gonna make the wheel happen, and maybe we'll get heals only, maybe we'll get no heals, maybe we'll get no mobility, maybe we'll get only snipers. Like it could be anything. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Maybe that takes the place of the $5 stack there.
Okay.
See.
Maybe
We'll see where we
have
can
to
put that in
up
there.
shots a little bit too.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. It's for a good cause, though, John. Right?
Yeah. All right,
great
George,
cause.
take us out.
All right. As always, you can watch all of our video content over at youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast. We have our weekly playthrough videos. GMP24, which is John and I fantasy booking a WWE show in WWE 2K24. And we've got a whole lot more. Podexchange.shop. That's PODXCHANGE.shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. We also have a Pro Wrestling Tees store, ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod. Black Friday sale is coming up. Already started. Maybe started by the time that this episode comes out. And we have all our shirt designs there as well. Patreon.com/podexchange for this show, early and ad-free access to show notes, as well as exclusive content from this show, State of Affairs, and Going Postal. like I said earlier, at GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. And as always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Love it. As always, if you have a product or service that you'd like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at gamemarkspod@gmail.com. And one final thing, if you are watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to this wherever you listen to your podcast, make sure to go and check out twitch.tv/Johnny Clash TTV. That is where we'll be doing the live streams for all of Gameboree. And as well, just go and check out John and hang out. He streams at least once a week, a couple times a week if we're lucky. And he's playing everything from Fortnite to wrestling games, everything in between. So make sure to go hang out with John while he's doing his streams. But yeah, speaking of John, that's it, man. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Carouse, do that thing.
Game over, Marks.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.